Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Kaga. Well, you ever have one of those great games? Doesn't really matter what particular game you're playing. The match just takes up the entirety of the time that's given to you. You know, like in the case of the rarity of like World of Tanks, you have a full 15-minute game, or in this case, you have a full 20-minute game of World of Warships. Yep. Well, this is just one such a game. And this time, we're sailing in the almighty Tier 8 premium German battleship, the Tirpitz. And you know, one of the things that I really love about this ship is it doesn't feel like a battleship. It's somewhere between a battleship and a cruiser. And it's not just because the Tirpitz has those torpedoes. It comes down to the guns. They're relatively forgiving. I know that on paper it has pretty bad dispersion, and you know, sometimes you get those really wild shots that come out of the gun. But, you know, and you know, this is the big thing with that, is that the reload is fast enough that, you know, sometimes you just don't care about what that looks like. And I'm just noticing something with this particular replay. It looks like maybe there was a small replay bug or something, because I guarantee you're going to see a shot that comes up here in a few minutes that HE would have never done. The damage. Yeah, that's called foreshadowing. Oh, oop, oop, oop. Is that a cruiser? Is he in range? Nope, nope, not yet. Alright, so we're going to start this whole pre-turning of the ship, get the rear batteries into play, because I don't see any enemy battleships. That doesn't mean they're not there. That doesn't mean they're not there, but what it means is that, you know, I should be able to plan for a few minutes of relative safety, and by turning in this particular direction, it increases the time at which I will have to react to the presence of enemy battleships, and it looks like at least two of them are beyond their own range to me, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to now that I've identified the positions of these battleships, I'm going to give my attention to this enemy cruiser and give him a piece of the good news for sailing alone, relatively broadside on to a battleship. Well, I guess you all know what that means. I think it's time for a paddling. It is time for a paddling, and boom! Citadel penetrations. We love it. Well, I think we love it when we're the ones doing the penetrating and not being the ones penetrated. Oh my. I totally didn't mean it that way, but I guess you kind of can't get away from the metaphors when you're dealing with really large guns and very large diameter torpedoes. Okay. Enough tangent, brain. I know it's late night. But you need to focus. Okay. So, you know, it's one of those things about, I've noticed it doesn't matter with like online gaming. It's either you have those really short matches, or they're really long matches, and there usually isn't anything in between. And this has been my experience with World of Tanks. If any of you remember Rising Force Online, the chip wars that used to get played in there. Another great example was the PvP in Guild Wars 1. Oh my god, that was such a long time ago. Any of the Battlefield PvP modes that are ancient history, like Battlefield 2, 2142. I didn't follow the series after that. I didn't touch Call of Duty. I imagine it's the same thing. But one of those things that I kind of appreciate about World of Warships is that you find this happy medium, and usually you don't have a lot of really bad short matches. Heaven forbid it takes 5 minutes just to go across the map. Sometimes even just halfway across the map, you know? So those really short matches don't usually happen. So you get the opportunity to really enjoy the capabilities of the ships and have a little bit of good combat, even if the match does end earlier than the time allotment. And I say usually, you're gonna find that most of the games last somewhere in that like 12 to 15 minute bracket, and you have this sense of fulfillment out of that match. It's very rare that you get a match that goes beyond that, but oh boy, when they do, oh man, you're in for a ride. And yes, we're going to look at this enemy Myoko. We're going to give them a piece of the good news again. Another salvo out. And it's just one of those nice little habits you get into the, just, why not, right? Ow! That had to hurt. And it's just one of these habits. You can watch the fall of shot more carefully using the Z key in World of Warships than you can by just eyeballing it. You can get a better sense of where the center of the dispersion field is, so you can make those small adjustments to your lead that can make the difference between, you know, a ricochet, a splash, or a citadel penetration, or maybe even the difference between that citadel penetration and a normal AP penetration. And that's just something that at least I find is very useful in the faster firing of the battleships. It kind of makes me dread the when I finally move up past actually I'm at the Nagato right now, but once I leave those slightly below 16-inch gun calibers that are on that, and the Amagi, I believe, to those larger guns that I forget. Actually, no, the Izumo still has those 16-inch-ish guns, and it's just they're mounted in the 3 triple turrets. It's when you get to the Yamato with the larger caliber, I dread the characteristics of those guns for a bit here, because I like doing those micro adjustments, and it's a little harder to do that meaningfully with longer reloads. It's kind of why I really like playing the crap out of heavy cruisers, because it's that roughly 13 to 15 second reload on the guns is just perfect to do this with most targets in their range, so you can really start pelting out the damage regardless of whether you're slinging AP or HE, and we'll sneak in this clever shot over that island, just barely missing it, and you know, 5,800 damage is not too bad against a Cleveland considering that distance. You'd have to hit just that magic spot to Citadel that Cleveland at that distance with these guns. It's not to say it's impossible, but what it is highly improbable. And yes, you just saw those shots dip really low, but it penetrated through the water and hit the armor on the side of that, I believe it's a New Orleans, and did penetrate it, but it didn't hit it in a critical enough area to qualify as a Citadel penetration. I imagine that was either stern or forecastle. And holy torp walls, I feel very bad for that battleship over there on our port side about 10 kilometers out. Oh, I feel bad for him. Oh, that usually only ends in one way. I'm not certain what is launching those torpedoes at him, but ooh. Oh, okay, I feel bad for the enemy team right now, because not only did that battleship probably get wrecked by that torpedo wall, this New Orleans just got citadeled right through the nose. And that happens with cruisers quite often. And one of the little things that you can do is vary your speed around the 3/4 point, give it that little kick left and right. But even then, sometimes, and it's happened to me. It has happened to me when I'm using my Myoko. that I will do everything right, and it will still overpen the front and citadel me, and boom, I'm out of the match. It's happened. I think I've got a video coming up here that will demonstrate that fully. And now we're about 10.5 minutes into this match, and we're almost completely capped. And you know, that's one of the things about World of Warships. If a certain class didn't have its cloaking devices, granted, if you could start likening them to Romulan birds of prey. I think it was Romulan birds of prey. The Romulan stealth ships from the original Star Trek. I don't mean like the original Star Trek, as in like, what's the right word for this? Not as in that timeline, but as in the original one from Gene Roddenberry. I think I remembered his name correctly. Yes, I think it's Gene Roddenberry from way back when with the Star Trek, that 3-season TV series, plethora of movies, and even the most of the Next Generation was his work as well. And it was one of those, you kind of get this like, we're firing the weapons, we're visible, and then and disappear. It's that kind of feeling. And if it wasn't for that ability of the destroyers, particularly the enemy Fubuki, who you will see much more of throughout this replay, so well played to him, is that we would have had one of those, I would have been happy with the results, but it just wouldn't have been the same. From this point on, this was a great match. And, it isn't because, these guns decided to behave amazingly. You can see they're not quite doing their magic like they were a few minutes ago. Now, granted, I was shooting at fairly unprotected cruisers to this caliber of gun, and right now I'm engaging a Fuso that is angled at approximately 70 degrees to us, and making that even steeper. So I'll take what damage I can get. Hello, torpedoes. Miss me. I don't want to see you again. So we're going to try to keep this cap alive. It does a few things. One, we could potentially actually cap this one out. And two, and more important and more critically, this draws the enemy to us. Now, that may sound like a really almost suicidal thing to want, but considering that if they do nothing, there's enough of us in here to cap quickly, and even one of them going up there to our capture point would not be able to resist that kind of cap pressure, so they all have to come here. This forces the engagement. It is just that type of calculating decision that we have informally agreed upon without having to use chat, because, why not? Who uses chat except to bash other players and do other things, right? Well, I take that back. You're going to see something like that that is a contrapositive to that. Contrapositive. I forget the word. You know what I mean. That we'll refute that claim in a little bit here. But, okay. So, this Fubuki has been giving me and my teammates a royal headache, as one of our teammates has so boldly proclaimed in chat. Yes, that DD really did save their butts for the moment in time. We would have capped by now if it wasn't for him. And right now, I have this great moment of, oh yeah, I'm at this point in the cap. I can't keep turning here and not go out of it, but I need to keep turning here. Well, nuts. I guess it doesn't really matter, because they did reset what few capture points I had, but, it would have been nice. That's really all it is. It would have been nice. we all like nice things, right? Well, I guess for that, except for that one guy we all know. You know who they are. So again, we're going to... I have no idea where that was aiming, but apparently we scored a hit. I guess it was on the cruiser that was with him? No. Okay, maybe this thing's full of more replay bugs than I thought. Might be due to the smoke hindering the performance, but we'll not dwell on that too much. So right now the enemy team has actually managed to pull this back. It's just myself and this friendly destroyer here against an enemy Fuso. It looks like a Pensacola and that enemy Fubuki. Okay. These guys know what they're doing, so we need to start knocking people down as soon as possible. And you know what? When you really need a miracle, sometimes the enemy provides it. I have no idea what possessed this Pensacola to get into close quarters combat with a Tirpitz, but I'm not gonna tell you no. Interrupting the enemy when they're making a mistake, oh, now that's rude. So we're gonna throw down some torpedoes. Hey, we get set on fire, looks like by his secondaries. I'll return that favor to you. And now we're going to try to open up the distance just a little bit here, because I know that Fuso is going to be coming around that cape any second now. And I also know that the enemy Fubuki has devastated our destroyer. Okay, it's time to, oh, wait. We picked up... What? Okay. One-on-one. Okay. Okay, destroyer. How's this gonna go? How's it gonna play out? So, with about 2.5 minutes remaining, it's worth it to try to put pressure on this cat, because, you know, it's still possible to make the capture at this point. Just barely, though. Just barely, might I add. That is the necessary qualifier. The other thing it does is it prevents the enemy capture bar from going up any further than it already is. You can make your claims of whether this was absolutely necessary, but you know, this is a form of insurance policy in my mind. This is one of those, if he manages to reset me and I need to pull out of here, then I have a backup plan. And fuck, well, I'm not capping this anymore. Thankfully, he didn't cause any flooding. And that's all about down to the angle those torpedoes hit at. They were... One of them was at a perfect 45-degree angle. The other one was at closer to like 55, 60 degrees. And even then, it was a glancing blow. Okay. Billy Big Steps in the opposite direction from where those torpedoes came from. Okay. Let's use that last heal potion and get that fighter in the sky. And now you're probably wondering, okay, why do I want that fighter up there? One of the things that this fighter float plane does is it just orbits the ship. So in a sense, what it's doing is extending the range at which I can detect, well, in a general sense, it helps detect enemy destroyers a little bit sooner, but it can also increase the range at which you detect torpedoes. And right now, that is what's on my mind. That Fubuki probably will not mess up. There's those torpedoes, and it's in that moment I'm double checking their alignments, and this is perhaps the first sigh of relief I've had. Is that first sigh of relief to ever, not ever, but to have graced my mouth in the last like 10 minutes. This was a good finale. And it was close. So, how did this round turn out for us? You know, it isn't spectacular in terms of if you're just looking at the ribbons that have come across the screen, but 500,000 credits, over 7,600, yeah, over 7,600 experience with premium time and first day, not first day, first win of the day comes out. That's a pretty good amount there for us to walk away to the bank with training up the captain on my turpits and getting some free XP for that as well. No surprise that with where or how things had played out that we would end up at top of the team list. It looks like this was a double man carry between myself and our destroyer there. So well played, Lord Benjamin there. We both carried through in the end. And I'd like to give that shout out to Honey Badger. Well played in the end. You almost won this. And you look at those ribbons in the beginning and you go, no way he did that much damage. But those 4 Citadel penetrations really did seal the deal with respect to that damage. Holy crap. We're looking at an order of around 124,000 cumulative damage right there in one 20-minute period. It's not spectacular, but you know what? Doesn't need to be. Damage is damage. Credits are credits. Experience is experience. And fun is fun. And that's all we're here to do, right? Have fun. Well, I hope this was a insightful video for you all. Hope you enjoyed it. Please consider giving a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if this or other content I offer interests you. And I hope to see you around in the future. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook. The link will be in the video description below. Thank you, and good day.